What is up, guys? I hope everyone is doing good today. So in this episode, I'm basically going to be talking about Star Wars, and when I say Star Wars, I mean the entire saga as a whole. I mean not just the movies, but also the series, the TV series, and everything along with it. I hope you all enjoy. This is the God of Freedom Show, Daily Edition. Alrighty, so yeah, I mean, thank y'all for really responding. Like, I got a pretty good response to my first episode of the Daily Edition. Like, a lot of people liked it. A lot of people liked my review of The Chosen, and that's because because of course a lot of people like The Chosen. Again, I mean, it's probably the last time I'm gonna bring it up for now, at least. But still, go watch The Chosen. It is just a fantastic series. So, yeah, let's talk about Star Wars. So Star Wars, is probably one of the most well-known and famous series of all time. Like, almost everybody knows what Star Wars is. Even if you don't like it, you know what it is. And I think most people do like it one way or another. So, but the fan base of Star Wars is pretty interesting and unique compared to other kind of fan bases of other shows and movies, because the fan base of Star Wars is very split in a lot of ways. There's a subset of people who like only the originals and nothing else after that. There's some people who like the originals and then the prequels and some TV shows that came out then, but don't like the sequel trilogy. There's some people who, like the sequel trilogy and just don't like the older ones. I'm more kind of in the second category. I love the originals, I love the prequels, and love the TV shows that come out of it. I really do not like the sequel trilogy at all, honestly. So, yeah, I mean, where to go? So, I mean, Star Wars is such a really good storyline overall. Like, if you've seen. But again, the best group out of all of them is definitely the originals, all day, every day. I mean, Empire Strikes Back is the greatest Star Wars movie of all time. No questions. No question about that. It's so amazing. And kind of that storyline of kind of a young, young farm boy who just spends most of his life, doing farming and just doing kind of the minimal stuff they needed to help their family out, but he always felt like he was called to another purpose, and it turns out that purpose was become a Jedi and defeat the Empire and once and for all, and to bring his dad back to the light side of the Force. So I mean, yeah, again, the originals is just amazing all the way through. Do they have the flaws? Yeah, I mean, they do have their flaws in some ways, but overall, the originals are just the best group of movies of all time, in my opinion, really. And then now, on to the prequel trilogy. Now, for the prequel trilogy, I never actually, had a, hatred toward them. Yes, I didn't I mean, probably the one I really didn't like, I'd always probably Episode 2, but that's mostly to do with the whole Anakin and Padme love story in that movie. I kind of always despised that, but I've always liked Episode 1. I've always liked Episode 3 too as well. So, but as time went on, of course, I really started to enjoy Episode 2 when I kind of ignore the kind of bad dialogue from Anakin and Padme in that movie. The rest of the story is really great, and plus when we have the context of Clone Wars between Episode 2 and 3, it makes it a whole lot better. But, of course, probably the best movie out of the prequel trilogy is definitely Revenge of the Sith and Episode 3. It is so good. And what's funny, a lot of people say, Anakin's turn to the dark side was abrupt for some reason, which doesn't make sense because it was pretty well set up from Episode 2 as well. I mean, he literally went out and murdered a bunch of same people, women and children as well. in that group. So I mean, it was pretty well set up. So I don't really understand why people say that, but there is like kind of a well-known contention that, you know, episode 3 is definitely the best out of the prequel trilogy. So, and of course, what makes the prequels like so much better overall is definitely the series, The Clone Wars. Guys, if you have not watched the Clone Wars series, go watch it. It is so good, and it brings so much context to the movies, the prequel movies. Like, kind of sets up Anakin's turn a lot more smoothly, and introduces a lot of other characters like Ahsoka, who was Anakin's apprentice during the Clone Wars. And, you know, at first, you know, I didn't really care for Ahsoka's character. She was kind of that just annoying little side character, pretty much. But as time went on, I really grew to like her and everything. But she, yeah, pretty cool character. She's a pretty cool character. And so I can't wait, because if y'all, like, she's pretty badass too. Like, remember if you watch the last 2 episodes of the Clone Wars in season 7, like, she fought off a bunch of clones all by herself, like, unlike what other Jedi couldn't do. I mean, seriously, it's pretty cool. But yeah, I mean, overall, the prequel trilogy and the prequel, like, kind of saga overall is really good, really good. And of course, you have, you know, the Rebel series as well. That's pretty good as well. And the Mandalorian is definitely really good. I mean, I can't wait for season 2 of The Mandalorian, because we're gonna probably see Ahsoka in there. We're gonna probably see Rex in there, maybe Boba Fett. I'm more excited for Rex and Ahsoka more than anything, because I wasn't a big fan of Boba Fett. I mean, I just don't understand the hype around him. Yes, he has a cool set of armor, but I mean, he didn't really do much, honestly. I mean, seriously. I mean, yeah, he didn't really do much. I mean, Jango Fett at least did did a lot more, but Boba Fett really didn't. I'm sorry, guys, but he didn't really do much. But as far as the sequel trilogy overall, that I can't. I mean, when I first saw, you know, episode 7, I still do like in some ways, but it's kind of ruined by the last 2, episode 8 and 9. Now, because just kind of the context of where it goes. But I mean, that was such a wasted opportunity. They could have done that so much better. I mean, episode 7 was good when I loved episode 7 when it first came out. And then when episode 8 came out, I did like it at first, but then I watched it again, it was like, yeah, it's not as good as I thought. Over time I watched it over and over. The more I watched it, the more I hated it. And then now, just episode 8 is my least favorite Star Wars movie of all time. I just do not like it at all. And now, then episode 9 came out, and I was hoping it would be better, and then kind of end this saga good in some ways, but it just didn't. I think what episode 9 is separate from was definitely how bad episode 8 was. I think J.J. Abrams was trying too hard to fix all the mistakes that Rian Johnson made in episode 8. I mean, yeah. I mean, because the problem with Rian Johnson is, as the director of Star Wars, he said himself that he does not really give 2 craps about Star Wars. He just want to make his own little storyline, which is, like, dude, really? You'd be messing with the most popular, like, saga of all time, and you're gonna make it twisted and make your own little story? I mean, sorry, you can't do that. You can't really do that. I mean, at least Abrams tried to make it like Star Wars in some ways, but it's still flopped. It's still flopped. And then, so, I don't know. I think what they should have done with the sequel trilogy is that they should have brought on Dave Filoni and John Fueva. I hope I'm pronouncing his name right. The guy who plays Happy in the Marvel series, MCU. So they should have brought in those 2 guys, because they're the brains behind the Clone Wars, Rebels, and Mandalorian, and they would have done that saga justice. And another thing I found out too is that George Lucas, before he sold Star Wars to Disney, he had an entire outline, story outline for episodes 7, 8, and 9. And Disney didn't even take it up as a any suggestions from it. They just kind of tossed it aside. So I would really like to see what was George Lucas's ideas for episodes 7, 8, and 9. Like, he should probably release some books about it to see and compare it. Maybe have some of the same characters in it, but he probably would have done it way better because, you know, Star Wars is his creation. I mean, he would have made it more feel like Star Wars because, you know, with a prequel trilogy, for example, yes, it has some flaws in it, but it still feels like Star Wars. The sequel trilogy does not feel like Star Wars at all. Yes, it has some little nostalgia in there, like we had like Han Solo, you know, Leia, and the Brain Gone, Lando, and then Luke Skywalker. But overall, it didn't really feel like Star Wars. I mean, it just felt like another sci-fi like series. And what is so unique about Star Wars? It's not like a normal sci-fi movie. It's something totally unique and just better. But with the sequel trilogy, it just made it into just a regular sci-fi series. So, pretty much for me at this point, Star Wars really ended at episode 6, and then maybe with a series. I think there's some kind of future, a possibility with a series with like Ahsoka and Rex and all them trying to find like Ezra or something, because Rebels ends with Ezra pretty much going missing. We don't know if he died or lived or anything, but Sabine and Ahsoka go out and try to find him, and probably Rex goes with him too. So that'll be a really cool series, and especially it's created by the same folks who did, you know, the Rebel series and the Clone Wars series. I can't wait. But other than that, movie wise, it definitely ends at episode 6. I mean, I watch episode 7, 8, 9 every once in a while, but honestly, I just don't. Those can go be tossed aside and just be its own thing. I don't know. Alrighty, so I think that's all I have for this episode. So I'll be back here tomorrow with my weekly God of Freedom show, where my full-length video. So I'm probably, of course, going to be talking about the coronavirus stuff and all that. So, but I'll see y'all then. This is the God of Freedom show, daily edition. If you enjoyed this episode of the God of Freedom show, hit that like button and follow the page to get more content. You can also find me on your favorite podcast listening sites like Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and SoundCloud. Thank you for listening or watching.